my first home in Mexican prison was the prison of prisons. So they took me to this part, and where I went to, we walked out to a field, and there was no electricity, there was no anything there, and all you heard was like screams. It kind of sounded like you were in a European football crowd, because it was just like fucking animals. And I'm gonna be like, guys, I'm just gonna be real on everything. Like, crazy fucking people. And what it was is where if you were in general population of the prison and you got in trouble, or you got in a fight, or you tried to kill somebody, or something happened, or you caught high on drugs or whatever, they put you here. So I was there. So I go in there, and when you walked into this place, there's nothing. I mean, I think I'll throw a picture up, so that's the closest thing I can find with it, but there's no way you're gonna find this, because it'd be impossible. They would never allow you to show it. So you walk in this place, it was all cement, it was just gross, it smelled like shit. And you walked in there, and there was like it was a small room, couple other guys in there, and you walked into the right, there was like a 3x3 foot basin with like dripping, and there was like total shit water, right? And in America, they tell you don't drink the water, right? There it is. And then next to it was on the floor was like I guess it would be a toilet bowl, and that was it. There was no sink, there was no toilet paper, no nothing, right? So you're in there, and there was nothing. They closed the door. No phone calls, nothing, all right? And they would say, like, does anybody know you're here? And I'm gonna be like, yeah, everybody knows I'm here. No one knew I was here. And then, even if I got a phone call, guys, which I didn't, like, one thing I want you to learn, because I'm going to give you lessons here. If someone takes your cell phone, or someone takes your kid, do you kids, like, whose number do you know? I knew my office number, I knew my mom's number, and I definitely wasn't going to call my mom. I didn't know Monique's number. So I'm like I couldn't call anybody if I did, but they didn't give me a call, nothing. And I'm in this place, and I'm like, agua? And the guy just shook his head. So there's no water. And he points to the basin. It's not even clear water. I'm like, I'm not gonna drink that shit. And there's this kid in there, and he spoke a little language. He's like, you speak English? I'm like, yeah, He's like, my name's Angel. And sometimes, like, when you're going through tough times, how you hyper spiritualize things? Well, I totally was, and I was like, Angel, okay, well, here it is. And he was a great kid, young kid, a lot of young kids there. He was telling me a story. He robbed a pharmacy with a knife. And he went back the next day to the same pharmacy and robbed with a knife again. But they were prepared for him. So, a good kid, he's trying to learn language, so he's asking me, how do you say this word, how do you say that word? But we're in this filthy place and nothing's there. And then just on the other sides, I couldn't see him, just people are yelling and screaming all night long, because they're all cracked out on smoking whatever shit they're smoking. No phone call. The next day, right? So I didn't sleep at all. So what happened, there's no place to sleep. There's just slabs of concrete, right? There's nothing. There's no bed. There's nothing. So I'm just sitting there, and guys, I'm freaking out. I'm stressed. I'm actually doing this with my eyes, thinking like I'm gonna wake up any second. Then I start going in my mind, and I'm becoming my own lawyer. I'm like finding the holes. What's going on? How am I gonna do this? Who do I need to call? But I can't get a hold of anybody. Next morning, gringo, or Robert, they were calling us, my middle name, Christopher Robert. They pick me up, shackles, things, drag me by the head, and they throw me into the back of a truck, chain me to the truck, and they take me to, this was like a couple days later, 2 days later, the courthouse. So I'm there 48 hours. And when you're in there, the food, what happened, because there's no cups, there's nothing, guys. So when they brought like a Kool-Aid or a lemonade, like they poured it in your hand. So, that's all you drink. And the next morning was hot soup, and there was no, I was like, forks, something? They're like, no. I'm like, no, we don't have forks or nothing like that. So you pour the hot soup in your hand. And during lunch, they served you 2 tortillas in like a little vegetable bag. So I was like, okay. So I started like saving the tortillas, right? I'm trying to be MacGyver here. And because in a couple of days I built up enough tortillas that I made a pillow out of it. And what I saw is the inmates, they were extremely innovative. Like, you wouldn't believe how they were able to pass shit from cell to cell. Cigarettes, money, drugs, weed, whatever. Like, it's amazing. They would use broomsticks, or they would rip and take a strain off. It was like, the skill set they have was incredible. So You know, and everything's going through my mind, guys. I'm missing Monique. Where's she at? What's going on? Where is she? Like, are my friends, do they even know I'm here? The ones I reached out to, you know? And during this time, I will tell you, a lot of friends fled. And some friends showed up. And some strangers showed up. And so that's one thing. When you go a tough time, you get to really, truly see who your friends are. So they take me to court. And I'm sitting there, and it's late, and you know, they bring you to the back room, and you're sitting there all banged up and you know, shackled. And then I see it was like an angel. The door opens, and there's Monique. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, write your number on my hand. I don't know your phone number. So I wrote her phone number. She wrote it on my hand as many places I can. I just memorized that. And they read through all the accusations, and we had an interpreter, and they read through. And you know, the judge would talk for like 5 minutes, and the interpreter tells me like one sentence. I'm like, no, like, you're not telling me what she just said. And I couldn't say, like, please be quiet. I'm like, no, like, I need to talk here. And the accusations were that, you know, they said I was in this club, and I had forced myself upon someone, and I had touched her ass for more than 2 seconds, because it was so ridiculous, because the brother who was a lawyer read the law and reversed engineered. So I guess sexual abuse in Mexico would be considered unconsented touch for more than 2 seconds on any body part. So I'm like, okay, that's ridiculous anyways. And so then later on, they said, and also I feared my life, because I got calls from Mexico City, and I knew it was Chris saying, I can't believe what you did, you're gonna hurt my family, and all this bullshit. And guys, like, I've never experienced in my entire life a 100% false accusation upon me of a total lie, and you're paying the price. It's like, wow. Like, so the feeling of unfairness and being a victim for no reason, like, I wish I would have beat the shit out of someone to be in the, like at least let me get here for a reason, right? So guys, the anger and the feeling of like I didn't do anything, and you're going through this hell. So that was rough. So understand the anger and the fear and the just, I mean, I had the worst thoughts you could think of, like revenge, just all that stuff. Boom. Okay, we're gonna you're gonna go for your sentencing in 2 days. And so throw me back in this place. They never let me out, no food. So I wasn't drinking. I didn't drink any water, because I don't want to drink that water. And I didn't go to the bathroom, because there's no soap, there's no nothing. So I'm holding it in, right? And the next couple of days I went to session 2 to the court, and there's Monique, and we were supposed to get a lawyer, and that lawyer came and forgot his computer, and he was absolutely useless. And then Monique actually, you know, January 31st, I was able to call her. So 72 hours later, they let me call someone on the phone. So I called her. I'm like, babe, and she's like, listen, you could hardly hear anything on the phone. And I'm talking to her, and I'm like, I can't hear you. And she's like that. And all I heard was this. Honey, I'm taking an executive decision, and I'm going to hire these other lawyers. I'm like, what? Like, no, because my friends were lawyers, top lawyers in California, and I'm like, whoa. And then here, Monique, she's like, no, I'm taking executive decision. I'm taking action. These are the ones I need to go to. And so you couldn't get to my account. So she had to be out on the outside asking for money and texting people asking for money on behalf of me, because you couldn't get in my accounts, trying to get power of attorney. So this girl, absolutely fucking amazing. And January 2nd, then they took me back in, locked me, there was no exercise or anything. Different guys are coming out. So January 2nd, went back to this courtroom, and they read all the accusations again and what they wanted. And when they added in that I called on this phone, and the number was from Mexico City, and I want to be like, here's my AT&T bill. Can you see, but they wouldn't listen. I realized it doesn't matter how good your case is. And due to that made me a risk of flight, because it was threatening their life. They felt so it was a risk of flight. So therefore, a risk of flight meant that when they explored the process, I must remain in prison the entire process. There's no bail, there's no getting out, there's no staying. No, it's you're gonna get to be in that jail for the entire sentence. And the judge said, it was on January 2nd this year, 2023, the judge said, and during the process you will remain in prison for the full term of your sentence, which will be a minimum of 1 year. And either the process will be continued or you will have finished your sentence on January 2024, second, and hit the gavel. And then the attorney's like shaking his head. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, did I just get sentenced for a year in prison? And they're like, yeah, and then I could just see like, so this is when you got to start like owning some shit. Like, okay, all right, so next logical step. And it was my son's birthday. Titus was born, it was his birthday. And I'm like, tell Titus, text him something like that. And Whitney, my ex, which I understand, she didn't want to tell the boys. She's like, it's too traumatic. I'm like, well, they need to know. Like, what's traumatic is like that I'm here and they don't know. But I get it. And so I was sentenced to 1 year in Mexican prison over false allegations, and I wasn't even to say a word. So now I gotta decide, what's the next year of my life gonna be like in this fucking hellhole?